All right, all right. Hey, what's up? Hello, how you all doing? It's Admin Cubana coming back at you with another episode of the Unladylike Lounge podcast. And today I am joined by Taylor Jordan, Mr. Important. How are you tonight?
But it's your man. I feel great, man. It's your man, Taylor Jordan, Mr. Important, 100K plus the play tape.
Oh my goodness. It is great having you on the show.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Finally, we have been waiting to have you in the lounge.
Man.
It's been a minute. It has been a minute. So I appreciate you joining me for this episode. It is a tough one, but you kind of know a little bit of background on this one. So I appreciate you joining us and being willing to co-host. So why don't we start off light, give them something light. Tell us a bit about you and who you are, what it is that you do first.
Okay, so I once again thank you to the Unladylike Lounge for letting me be here. It's been a long time in coming.
Yes.
I just want to go off and say, for this to be my first time here and this to be such an important episode, a heartfelt episode,
yes,
and a casting in which I ain't trying to get all teary-eyed, but a casting in which that, I don't really think could have been done by anybody else closer to you or more heartfelt as far as just someone that respects you with the real love and admiration that I do give. A little bit about myself, the little tagline, Taylor Jordan, Mr. Important. I do run OV. Shout out to my dogs and my pups. It's Organic Vibes.
Shout out Organic Vibes.
Man, that's the record label, you know what I mean? But I'm behind the scenes now, you know what I mean? Things have diminished over time. There's a lot of other things that I found myself more willing and more likely to do with the rest of my life now that I have children and such. So, moving forward in life, I just I would really like to say this. Anything that I can give back to the world, I really feel is the most important thing. That's really all I can really say about myself. But you said it yourself the best. I have a little bit of background in this type of an episode and this type of a topic, and once again, I feel, Miss Cubana, the queen of it. I'm gonna give you your flowers when flowers are due. Most people don't get those while they're alive, so I just want you to, understand that this is a huge step that you're taking as far as women are concerned, but as far as you as a woman are concerned. As far as you, as a mother to all your peers, as to anybody watching on, these are your children. This is your flock.
Don't make me cry.
This is who you take care of. So, for you to go diving in, as they say, Michael Phelps in the deep waters about yourself, I would love to say that, I'm very honored to be a part of this today, but more so, I give you a lot of respect for doing what you're going to do, because this is a way in which not only are you going to be able to touch more and more of your fans and your listeners, but this is how you build that interpersonal strength and that unity with them. And hats off to you, for real. Hats off to you.
I appreciate you.
That's all I can say.
I appreciate you so much, Mr. Jordan, Mr. OV. I appreciate you very much. And I do want to give you your flowers as well. And shout out, like I said, to all of Organic Vibes, all of your fans, followers, listeners, audience members. We definitely are not forgetting all of that empire that you have built over the years.
Appreciate that.
This episode, for those of you who don't know, and I want to thank everybody who's watching now and everybody who's tuning in later, this episode is called Sins of the Father. For those of you who are unaware, I apologize if I choke up. Y'all know I tend to get a little weepy when the wine is involved. I promise I have not been drinking. He can attest to that.
She has not.
I have been doing my little Shirley Temples. But for those of you who do not know, I actually found out recently that my father, where I got the name we all have come to know and love, Cubana, is not my biological father. So I actually struggled with, y'all know I want to keep it real. I want to keep it funky with everybody. So I never want to, come out with some false advertising shit. I struggled with, do I keep Cubana? Do I drop it? What do I do? And my admin was like, this is what we've come to know and love you as, is Cubana. You can't just drop it. So as of right now, we are keeping Cubana. That is what we are going with.
That's who you are, though. That's who you are.
That's who I am. I've been Cubana since day one, so we are keeping it. And in the process, we call him my forever father.
Yes, ma'am.
I actually had a breakdown. I had a huge meltdown when I found out. Called him hyperventilating, sobbing, ready to throw up, and told him he was not my father. And we'll get into all that a little bit later. And he had the greatest reaction I could have ever asked for.
Yes, ma'am.
He said, "You are forever my baby girl till my dying breath." And that's when I said, "I'm Cubana." It's, say less.
Realistically, though, not to budge in, but like realistically, you know, a lot of fathers out there get a bad rep for not always being there and stuff. And I'm not trying to use this as a segue into fathers need this or that, because don't get me wrong, there's a lot of bullshit ass daddies out there. So y'all niggas that ain't taking care of your motherfucking kids,
I know that's right.
Signing a check and giving money ain't shit. Ain't none of that bank statement ass shit got nothing to do with the experiences you give that child. It's the quality of time. It's a whole different motherfucking bag of potatoes. And I ain't trying to be an a-hole. You feel what I'm saying?
I know that's right.
But real talk though, even though he ain't the father, he could have been like, "Oh, ooh, you was at me all this type of way on time," but he did the exact opposite, which maybe might have crossed your mind, like, "Man, I kind of put this dude through hell," and he said, "That don't change nothing. You still my baby girl."
He did.
Now, even if it was in the mother's shoes, and say I found out my mother wasn't my real mother or whatever, the fact that the person steps up in that moment to not only give you the reply that maybe you didn't see coming, but the forever father reply that, no matter what, any type of harbor or hate I had for you my entire life, you aren't the person that realistically, technically, I might have not have needed to have this anger for, but not only did you take it, you're still telling me at this moment in time, you're happy that you did, and you're still my daughter.
Yes. Shout out to him. Shout out to him. And that for some insight, I do want to give a little background because I call him Mr. Jordan. He deserves that respect right there. Mr. Jordan does know my forever father. He has met him before, and he does know the dynamic that I've had with him.
He a funny dude. I ain't even gonna lie.
I remember when they met, like, I was like, "Look, so my daddy is this, and that, and he did this, and that to me, and he wasn't around my whole life." And thank you, Chris. Thank you, baby. I just remember telling Mr. Jordan, I was like, "He's all this and he's all that, and he ain't this and he ain't that, and so you better not like him." And we went out to eat, and these motherfuckers are sitting there just chopping it up and laughing and hee ha ha, and I was just big mad, just pouting, and they're just having the time of their lives, best friends, and I'm just like, this ain't even funny, like, just pouting big mad. And at the end of the day, he really brought it to my attention, like, you know what, he may not be the dad that you expected or but he's the best dad that he knows how to be.
Man.
And I was like, I have to consider the fact that this man came from a whole other country. This man is from Cuba, and he grew up in a fucked up time in Cuba. He grew up, in the Batista age. He grew up when the revolution was happening, when Fidel took over. So it's culture shock. He didn't know how to be the Leave It to Beaver dad. He didn't know how to be the dad that I had in my head. And you really brought that to my attention. And I was like, wow, okay, I get it now. I really do. So when he told me, it doesn't change a thing, you're still my baby girl to my dying day, It blew my mind. And I was like, whatever transpires with this man that is my biological father, no matter what, I have a dad. I really do.
Well, I guess, not to barter in on anything you're saying. I guess my number one question to you was, were you more mad when you found out, or were you more hurt in a way that you felt like somebody broke trust with you this entire time of your life? What was the first initial? Because I know you've thought them both, of course. Right. But what was the very first initial boom?
My very first reaction, I was hurt because, okay, let me break it down like this. First, I want to preface this with, we don't bash, we don't shame, we don't blame in the lounge. We don't do this. So if you have any negativity to say, think, or whatever, take your funky ass the fuck up out of my life. Do that right now, period. Because we don't do that here, okay? And if you come in my comment section with some nonsense, I'm gonna boot your ass the fuck up on out of here.
Catch that boot, take that scoop.
Period. Boot, scoop, and boogie, bitch. My initial reaction was hurt, confused, and angry all at once. The reason being,
your crazy ass would be three things at once.
All of my personalities had their own emotion. All of my personalities had their own emotion.
I know your ass.
He knows me well enough. He knows me well enough to understand. But the reason being, so a relative of mine that I do not claim, I will not go into it, told me during their period of active addiction that this African man that worked at a certain gas station was possibly my biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
This was years ago. I'm talking like 2015. Dang. And I was like, ain't no motherfucking way, because my daddy. Like, I look just like my grandmama. And so I brushed it off. Plus, they were in active addiction. We all know you don't trust nobody in active addiction. You don't believe shit they say. So
sometimes crackheads got some real shit to say.
Crackheads got some real shit to say.
Nowadays smokers
but them 90s crackheads, they got some shit to say. Swear.
Fix all your cars.
And then like there were signs along the way that pointed to this. So I felt like people knew and didn't tell me, but when I brought it to my mother's attention, you could tell she was genuinely confused. I see anybody who knew me in like middle school and high school know I have a rage problem.
What?
He knows.
What?
He knows. He's had to deal with me. I apologize.
I don't. That's what made you one of my best friends in the world. Shit.
But so I came to my mom without exploding on her. I tried to come with empathy, like, maybe she didn't know. The way this all started was a friend of mine's mother was going to help me with some genealogy type shit. There was no thought in my mind that my dad wasn't my dad. We just wanted to track my roots because my roots said, Valley of the Kings. And I was like, oh shit, I got me some property in Egypt coming my way. And so I came to my mom and I was like, look, this is the case. And she was just shocked. So the fact that she was genuinely confused, I was like, okay, she didn't know. But then I called my dad and he goes, I figured. And I was like, why didn't you tell me? And he was like, because it ain't shit to me. And I was like, okay. So like, But why you didn't say nothing to me? Like, you could have at least told me, and then we could have just went and had some Chinese food or something. You know what I mean? Like, at least tell me. That's my thing.
Your ass would have a moment to slice food in the moment.
Right? Like, can we just like segue with some Chinese? Like, that's our thing is Chinese food. Okay, like, can we just slide it in there somewhere? So I was just mad, hurt, and confused because I felt like somebody somewhere knew and didn't tell me.
Yeah.
But then when I realized nobody actually knew, that's when I was like, all right, I can't be mad. I can just be, feel whatever I'm feeling and then release it.
Do you think, not to cut you off, but do you think that people didn't know opposed to they might have had an idea but just never got the credible evidence or the for sure basis on that, therefore they just didn't want to bring it to you? Because like bringing you some faulty news like that would have had same effect on you, or even maybe a greater effect on you, it being wrong rather than it coming to you low key, not gonna lie, in an organic way. It came to you in a very organic way when you weren't even looking for it.
Right. See, my forever dad was like, I figured, but because see, my forever dad was in and out of prison. Like, he was in prison when I was born. He was in prison most of my life. So he was like, I asked for a blood test, but he was like, at the end of the day, I didn't care. You were my daughter, period. I did not care. He's like, but I kind of figured that you were his. But she said you were mine. Fuck it. Some interesting stuff. Again, we are not here to bash, shame, or blame. I'm just putting this out there to kind of educate people. My mom did tell me because she said the dates didn't line up for me to be this other man's child.
Yeah.
But she said that when she puts the timelines together, it didn't make sense. Okay, that's fine. But she said, when I think back, when you were born, the nurse asked me, how long overdue are you?
Yeah.
And because they gave her the due date of May 13th. I was born on May 11th. She's like, she's not overdue. She's 2 days early. And the nurse was like, no, she's overdue. She has cracks in her wrists. And that's from being overdue.
Yes,
and my mom was like, well, I don't know what to tell you. They gave me the due date of May 13th. She was born on the 11th. I don't know what to tell you. And me having been, if I would have been born overdue, that would have made the dates line up for me to be this other man's child. So if she would have put stock into that, she would have known, but she didn't, because again, the doctors gave her the wrong due date.
So realistically, she went off of not only probably personal intuition and maybe just who maybe she wanted to be the dad, even more so the fact that based off of the logical terms and the facts that may, at the moment, there was no reason for her to really question it in any type of way.
Right. And see, the thing, I don't think it's necessarily, and I don't mean this to be, hurtful in any way, but I don't think she necessarily wanted my forever dad to be my dad, because he was in and out of jail, in and out of prison all the time. Whereas my biological father, he was a student at UWL. He always held really good jobs. He climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. He was very, he was accomplished. He was doing well in his life. To this day, he's still doing well in his life. I mean, granted, he has like 5 baby mamas, but he's doing well in his life. He's accomplished.
Some of us do.
Some of them do. That does not make a man any less of a man, any less of a father. It does not.
Just remember, side note, we just got a lot of practice. Ain't no wrong with practice. We're talking practice. It's good at the game.
But as always, the Unladylike Lounge encourages safe practice. We do encourage safe practicing.
They got shit called raw. It's very thin. It don't even feel like it's there. Anyways, back to you. Hey, but on some real shit though, a lot of people didn't even know this about me. Even though my father was present at the moment that I came out, that I was birthed. A lot of people don't know that he was there. He signed my birth certificate and everything, but he was one of 3 men. And people didn't even realize that low key because I came out so light. Like a lot of people don't even know. So I'm Sicilian and African American. I'm mixed. And when you first meet me, you might just think, oh, this is a smooth white boy. He got some kind of flavor. But once you hear me talk, my vernacular and different things, or so I have been told, you know, people associate with me most times with not even being a man of color, a man of melanin, which I'm not gonna lie to you, the shit pissed me off because
unless
I'm like,
you would have seen his fro in school. If you would have seen his fro in school, you'd
boy,
been like,
I would show y'all my bald top to the fall drop, but I ain't gonna do that right
he
now.
had a whole fro. It was blondish, but it was a fro.
19 inches when I cut that shit. But nah, for real though, like it's not uncommon, you know what I mean? For people, you know, in the lower 90s or late 80s, I'm an 80s baby, you know, I'm not gonna cut any stripes off the motherfucking zebra. Motherfuckers was active. Now when you hear people putting up numbers nowadays, and you hear girls got a list of niggas or dudes, and dudes got a whole list or whatever, you gotta remember, we are the products of an environment of motherfuckers that got active. So we doing drugs and doing whatever. The crack hit the 80s.
And we also need to remember
people was having fun and fucking back then. So like it's not uncommon for people to really not know. Like the few, like there was a dude with a fro that was like a Jew dude that had, but he was like a darker Jewish man that had freckles where motherfuckers might have thought he was my father. There was another smooth motherfucker like if for y'all ladies that may be a little older, there's a dude named John B. You know what I mean, in the early 2000s. That was a smooth white boy, and I had mama was messing with a motherfucker like that too. And then there was an older cat, you know, silence on P for when no motherfuckers know what I'm talking about. But an older cat, the oldest of all 3 of them, who ended up being my father, and he was a man of melanin. He was a god, you know what I mean. So he was a black man, and to this day, it kind of shocks a lot of people, you know what I mean, until they really see him. This is my father, you know what I mean? He's a black man. A lot of people don't even know that, you know what I mean? My mother is white. So it's like, people don't even know that, like, man, you know, it's not out of the clear atmosphere or anything weird for people to really not know at certain times, because listen, when you getting down with the boogie, you might want to put up your hoodie. You feel what I'm talking about? So,
and one thing that people need to understand is, one, technology was way different in the 90s and 80s.
Way worse.
So the way they can pinpoint a due date now, they can pinpoint it down to, you got pregnant on this day at 8:43 p.m. Like, they can pinpoint that shit.
You can figure out DNA now before a child is even birthed.
Exactly. They couldn't do that back then.
Hell no.
And another thing, which is another reason why we don't bash, shame, or blame in the Unladylike Lounge. People need to understand that sexual. I'm trying to figure out how to don't do that on here, because you never know who's watching.
I know who's watching.
Shut the fuck up. So, sexual. I'm trying to think of the word. When you're hypersexual, that can come from sexual trauma. People who are victims of sexual abuse can turn into hypersexuality with the mentality of, I'd rather just give it up so it's not taken from me.
Exactly.
And I'm not going to go into putting anybody's business out there, but let me put this out there for you. It doesn't matter if she was a victim of sexual abuse or he was a victim of sexual abuse and they turn to hypersexuality. It doesn't matter if they just be doing numbers because they like dick or they like pussy. It's not your motherfucking business who does what. As long as they are consensual and as long as they are hopefully being safe with their bodies. It does not fucking matter, because it has nothing to do with you or your motherfucking bedroom. Keep your nose out of my motherfucking bedroom. Keep your nose out of my mama's motherfucking bedroom. Keep your nose out of his motherfucking bedroom. It has nothing to do with y'all.
I might have my nose in your bedroom. That's my own shit. I'm just playing.
How you doing?
Hey.
How you doing? Call me.
Boo-boo.
If you cute. I'm just kidding. But I just wanted to put that out there. There are multiple reasons why situations like this occur. And what it boils down to is none of it is your motherfucking business
Boom.
unless you are one of those people. And if you are one of those people, you need to step the fuck up and take that test.
Ow.
I'm just saying. As of right now, I do know who my biological father is.
Boom.
I have located, well, the friend's mother who has been helping me with this has actually located him, and I plan on writing him a letter.
Boom.
I don't want to reach out to disturb his personal life. He is currently married. He has plenty of other children with plenty of other women. I don't want to disrupt his personal life, his financial life. I don't want anything from him. You guys know the Unladylike Lounge is booming. The podcast is banging. We are internationally known. We are popping all over the world. I don't need or want anything from him. I just want that evidence to be like, yes, I know he's my father. Ancestry DNA told me straight up that he is my father. I just want to know who and where I come from. There's that part of you.
Lineage.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to condescend to say I know how an adopted person feels, but I feel like it's almost relatable in a sense where you just want to know who you belong to.
Yes, man.
And I want to be like, I was so proud to be Cuban. I was so fucking proud of my people, my country, my heritage. And now I've lost that. And now I want to be like, look, I'm Kenyan. You know what I'm saying?
Boom.
I want to know. I have roots that go back to the Valley of the Kings. Who knows who that leads back to? I could have the blood of Nefertiti running through my veins.
Thank you.
I could have the blood of Hatshepsut running through my veins.
Thank you.
I want to know that. I want to know that. Mansa Musa. What? I want to know, and I feel like I deserve to know. So, that's not just for men. That's for women. That's for adopted people. That's for people who don't know who they belong to. Take that test. Even if you're not going to be involved in their lives, take that test. Let them babies know who they belong to.
Hey, because at the end of the day, it's important to know where you come from. Like, people don't realize, as you just said, going from Cuban, now it's switched over to Kenyan. That's, Cuban to African. That's a huge bing bong. You know what I mean? And what people don't understand is like, when people, like, realistically, like I even said for myself, just trying to insert myself in it to understand from my perception, as well as like, even when people may not say that, may think, oh, you don't look black or you don't seem black. Mm-hmm. People don't understand there's a reason why I have all this Egyptian shit on my arm. It's not just cool. It's just not just to have a tattoo.
Right.
I come from Egyptian lineage. Like, people don't get that shit. I really come from God. So it's like,
yes,
the fact that my father and my actual black family, we, Nicaraguan, like, people don't get it. Like, even though that was a part of my grandfather, when you look at my grandmother, my father's mother, that's Nigerian. So when you go Nicaraguan and Nigeria, now you're really looking at where it started at all. We're looking at Africa, you know what I mean? And that's the motherland. And we go all the way back, and we're talking about, however you want to relate time and history. But me, I look at it, the Egyptians were the first super race. And, I'm happy and I'm proud to be Egyptian. I'm also proud to be Italian. I'm proud to be Sicilian more so, where I don't consider myself Italian. A lot of y'all might confuse the two, but
it's different.
Man, I'm Sicilian and I'm African American, and I love that. To go deeper, like I said, I'm Sicilian and I'm Egyptian, and I love the fact that people can figure out these new depths of who they are. But I also love the fact that when you found out, all these emotions ran through you as they should, and with anything that important. But also, when you brought him the information, that didn't change who he was in his eyes, of his own eyes to you, which then reaffirmed to you that this is my forever dad. Then also, you're on the path to eventually here reaching out just to let a person know that, there's a part of him inside of you, and you want to let him know that you are proud to call yourself a biological daughter of his.
Yes.
So really, what a lot of people don't understand is with detail, comes an increased amount of family, and
Yes.
that's a bigger community, and that's a bigger unity of human beings.
Yes.
We don't have to just be human resources for other people. We need to be resourceful for ourselves. And I would just love to tell you that, it's very beautiful that you found this information out.
Appreciate
and to anybody that may have something to say about how it got to her, whatever, that shit don't mean no bullshit. Your opinion, that's the greatest thing about us human beings, is we all have an opinion. But you know what? If you can't say it positively, if you can't interject the right type of formalities for positivity, for unity, for togetherness, save that shit at your home, because most people are only satisfied with what they push out into the world. If other people like that, they really don't take a look on the inside of who they are, and that's called interpersonality. So check it out. I would just want to tell you this from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of anybody's heart. Man, I'm a father myself. I'm happy for you that you found out.
Thank you.
But don't let that change or define the fact of the man that I come and have been able to meet myself as your forever father, because he is a funny motherfucker. And I ain't gonna lie to you. That boy had a drink with me, and that shit was funny the motherfucker. I ain't finna lie to you, but on some real shit though, I'm happy for you. I really am happy for you.
So I'm good with my forever dad. Like, we're cool now. We are cool now. We really are. Matter of fact, he brought me that thing right there for my birthday.
Are you talking about the red flannel?
No, the red, the vase with the red and the.
He brought me red. I love red.
Of course.
I love red. I love red. I love red.
I know you do. I knew you'd be excited knowing he brought that. That's why I waited to not tell you.
Hey, it don't never get sour if it's a red flower. You feel what I'm talking about?
So me and my forever dad are cool now. But the fact that, like, they're friends, like, I was ready for them to be sworn enemies. Like, the whole time we were on our way back to my house, like, I was like, oh, he's doing this. He's doing that. I hate him. You have to hate him too. And the fact that they're like best friends.
I was hitting her back like, this nigga funny as hell. But, in another sidebar, this may be a conversation for another time. But I'm just going to say, between me, her, and him, there was a fourth person in the car.
You guys, we have to have a whole other podcast.
They need to hit the showers.
Oh.
They played a full court press game. They need to hit the woo. Boy,
I was literally texting him sitting right next to him. I was like, is it me? You have to promise to tell me if it's
this
me.
Motherfucking muskrat. Let me not do that. Let me not listen.
Right, we're not mean. We're not mean.
Everybody need to retire and hit a shower. And man, I'll tell you, her stench was tighter than pliers through the wire. Woo! Call BET. We need that show back. Shout out to BET.
Shout out. No, they didn't let Tyler Perry own it. It's still run by the one people. Oh, anyways.
The Caucasus. Okay, I love them too, though. I mean,
he
sometimes.
He does.
White meat's good.
It is.
Sometimes, but
anyways, you're gonna get us canceled.
Shout out to the Nubian princesses. I'm giving props where props is due. We got African goddesses in this one.
I mean, we love everybody. We love everybody. It's all love. It's all love. So I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Mr. Jordan, I want to thank you so much for joining us. It is much appreciated. You are always welcome back in the lounge anytime.
I'm coming back.
I know. He loves the camera.
I'm gonna put on a turban like a Satin and come on my carpet like Aladdin. You feel what I'm saying? Let me stop there. I love y'all, man. As y'all know, I love y'all fiercely.